Join Kids Hut family.
Tia, I'm getting bored. Will you please stop reading and talk to me?
Bored? How can you get bored, Tofu? Why don't you write a story of your own?
I can't think up a story, Tia, especially when I'm so bored.
Looks like you haven't heard of Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland. One sunny day, Alice was sitting next to her sister while she was reading. Her sister had been reading books all morning and Alice was very bored now. She thought for a while and decided to ask her sister to stop reading. She was about to do that when she saw a little white rabbit with pink eyes run past her.
I am late. I have to hurry. I am late.
Saying so, he ran into his rabbit hole. Alice was suddenly interested in this turn of events and she decided to follow the rabbit. She went to his rabbit hole and peered down it. Suddenly, the hole gave away and Alice fell into it. She kept falling for what seemed like a very long time.
Will I ever stop falling? What kind of a strange hole is this?
At last, she landed with a thud in a big empty room. The room had 3 doors of different sizes. She saw the rabbit outside the smallest door before it closed shut. But the door was very tiny, no bigger than Alice's new pencil back home.
I must get on the other side of that door. But how will I do that? It is so small.
Then Alice noticed a small table in the corner of the room. She went to it to find a small bottle of pink potion with the label "Drink Me" on it. Next to it was a small little key, the size of the smallest door's lock.
I think this key belongs to that door. I wonder what this potion will do to me. Let me try.
And so Alice took the key in one hand and drank the potion from the bottle. Suddenly, Alice could no longer see the top of the table. The empty bottle of the pink potion became too heavy for her and fell out of her hand. She was shrinking.
What is happening to me? I am shrinking.
Once Alice was small enough to go through the smallest door, the shrinking stopped. Alice quickly ran to the door, opened it, and ran out. She found herself in the most beautiful garden she had ever seen. But she could not enjoy it because she was so tiny and all the flowers and plants were so big.
Oh, I wish I was bigger.
Hearing her, the white rabbit came to her and ordered her rather rudely.
Go to my house and get my gloves and fan.
Alice didn't know why the rabbit was so rude to her. Perhaps he didn't like being followed. Nevertheless, she decided to follow the instructions because she was curious and wanted to see the rabbit's house. When she entered the rabbit's home, she saw a yummy-looking cake on the kitchen top. It had a sticker on its plate that said, "Eat me." Alice was really hungry by now. She'd even missed lunch, so she decided to eat the cake. As soon as she took one bite, she started growing again. Soon, she would not fit into the house. She could not see the rabbit's gloves anywhere, but grabbed his fan and decided to run out of the house. As soon as she came out, she started shrinking again.
Oh no! What is this? Will I ever be back to my normal size again?
One of my mushrooms makes you grow tall, and the other side makes you shrink. Alice turned to see who was talking to her. It was a caterpillar sitting on a mushroom. She quickly ate a piece from the side he was pointing and came back to her normal size. She thanked him for his help and asked,
How do I get back home? Could you please tell me that? That path leads to the Mad Hatter and the other one to the rabbit's home.
This time it was a cat that sat in the tree that spoke. Alice thanked him and took the path to the Mad Hatter. She didn't want to meet the rude rabbit again.
I will meet you in the evening at the Queen's palace.
Halt. To go further, you must answer my question correctly.
Oh, I love riddles. Please do ask me a question.
Tell me, why is a raven like a writing desk?
Alice thought for a while, but she did not know the answer to the riddle.
Oh, I don't know the answer to your question. Could you tell me why?
The Mad Hatter was taken aback. Never had anyone asked him the answer to his own riddle.
Oh well, I don't know either. We don't know anything here. You can go ahead on the path.
Hence, Alice proceeded to the Queen's castle where a game of croquet was on. The Queen was very unkind and unreasonable. If she didn't like someone, she would instruct her soldiers to be off with his or her heads immediately. Her guards had made a mistake earlier in the day, and so she had turned them into cards for the game. When the queen saw Alice, she instructed her to play with her.
You will play croquet with me, and if I lose, it will be off with the head for you.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Alice was very careful. But the queen was terrible at the game. And Alice had to try really hard to lose.
Ha! You lost. If I like, I will have your head for it.
A trumpet sounded far off, and the white rabbit hopped forward.
The royal court is now in session, and you will be tried.
Tried? For what? I haven't even done anything.
You have been accused of stealing heart-shaped tarts from the queen's kitchen. First, you don't know how to play croquet, and then you dare steal tarts from my kitchen? You should be punished. Off with her head.
This is silly. I haven't even stolen anything. I just reached the castle and started playing with the queen.
She looked at the white rabbit, the Mad Hatter, the caterpillar, and the Cheshire cat. They were all looking at her and smiling.
What is going on?
Alice felt someone tapping her arm. It was her sister.
Wake up, Alice. You fell asleep sitting next to me. It's time for lunch.
What a strange dream I had. I promise I will never complain of being bored while you read. That is such a strange story, Tia. Next time you sit to read, I too will write my own story instead of getting bored.
Okay, but I have to be the first one you tell it to. Okay, Tofu?
Yes.
Tofu, what in the world are you trying to do?
I am trying to pluck those juicy fruits from this tree.
But do you think you will be able to pluck them? They are so high.
Oh, I wish I could fly and pluck those fruits. I so wish I had wings.
To wish is not bad, but one should be conscious about the consequences. Come, I'll tell you a story. The Tortoise and the Eagle. A young tortoise was lazing around the riverbank, looking at the birds flying in the sky. He stared at them and started thinking out aloud.
I wish I could fly like those birds, up high in the sky and watch the beautiful sceneries and beauty of the world from top of the world. Oh, I so wish that.
Nearby, an eagle was sitting on a stone, listening to what the tortoise was thinking out loud, and couldn't resist but ask,
Why do you want to fly? You should be happy with what you are gifted with.
I wish I could fly with no trouble of crawling on the ground.
So say that you want to fly because you don't want to crawl, not because you wish to see the world from the sky. Anyway, what will I get in return for making you fly in the sky?
I'll give you the riches of gold from the Red Sea.
So the eagle grabbed the tortoise in its claws and soared up high in the sky, making him see all the beautiful sceneries of the world. Flying higher in the clouds and closer to the stars. It was indeed a mesmerizing moment for the tortoise. While the eagle was flying over the riverbank, the rest of the tortoise were basking in the sun. Suddenly, the tortoise flying high up in the sky said,
I wish my friends could watch me flying so high in the sky. I am sure they would get jealous watching me.
What? Why would you want your friends to get jealous of you?
I want them to see that I can fly and they cannot. It's such a nice feeling.
What an evil friend this tortoise is, thought the eagle. With this, the eagle dropped him on the ground and asked for his treasure.
Now give me my reward.
There is no reward. I was just kidding about the gold so that you could take me for a ride.
And with this, the tortoise left. The eagle couldn't tolerate his insult and decided to teach him a lesson. So the next day, the eagle went to the tortoise and said,
Hey, would you like to go for a sky ride again?
Yes, sure. I would love to.
The eagle once again picked him up and clenched him in his claws. The tortoise, while enjoying the ride, said to the eagle,
Why did you bring me again for the ride, even though I dishonored my promise of rewarding you?
That's because, tortoise, you wish to make your friends jealous, but at my cost. And now I'll let you enjoy the free fall.
The eagle let his claws loose and the tortoise went falling down. Screaming for help and flying no longer, he crashed on the ground with a thud. Thanks to his shell, he didn't get injured. Soon, his old friends surrounded him and said,
Hey, young friend, you wanted to see the world from high up in the sky. To dream big is not a sin, but to dream it at the cost of others is just not justifiable.
I have learnt my lesson now. I should be thankful to God for what I am blessed with. It was my shell only that saved my life. I should be happy with what I have, and also should not use others for my selfish reasons. I surely have learnt my lesson. Tia, now I know what you were trying to say. I learnt a lesson too. One should think about the consequences before one wishes for something. I should be happy with what I am blessed with. I should rather look for an alternative to pluck those fruits. Wait, I'll get a ladder.
Tofu, you learn things quite fast.
My friend John stays with his cousins. Yesterday, he came late to the class and the teacher scolded him a lot. John said his cousin brothers made him finish their course before they let him leave for school. He said they always trouble him and make him do a lot of housework.
Oh no, he must feel really bad.
John is a very nice boy. He doesn't disobey anyone. He's very nice to his cousin brothers despite the way they treat him.
That is very nice of him. We should always forgive people for their mistakes. Have you heard the story of Cinderella? Once upon a time, there lived a young girl called Cinderella. Cinderella's mother had died, and so her father had married another woman who had 2 daughters. One day, Cinderella's father went to work and never returned. Cinderella was left at the mercy of her stepmother and 2 stepsisters who made her do all the work of the house.
Cinderella, it's morning already. Where is our breakfast?
Just a moment, stepmother. I am just bringing it out.
As soon as Cinderella had laid the breakfast, the stepmother and stepsister started eating it. Cinderella served her own plate too and was about to eat when her stepsister pushed her own plate away.
Yuck! I hate it. Yes, now that you mention it, it really is horrible. Mother, do something. Cinderella, are you trying to kill us? What kind of food is this?
But stepmother, I have made it the way I always make it.
How dare you argue with me? Go and make new breakfast for us. Don't you dare do anything else till we have had our breakfast.
And this is what went on in their house every day. The stepmother and stepsisters troubled Cinderella without any reason. But Cinderella loved them still and never ever complained. One day, an announcement was made in the village.
Let everybody know. There will be a royal ball at the palace tomorrow night, and the king's son, Prince Charming, will marry a maiden from amongst the guests. Everybody from the village is invited.
The whole village was excited. Even Cinderella's stepmother and stepsisters couldn't stop talking about it in the house. And that is how Cinderella found out about the ball.
The royal ball! Prince Charming! The whole village is invited. I will finish my work quickly so we can all go together. Won't it be just wonderful?
You! Who said anything about you going? You will stay here and polish our shoes till you can see your face in them.
And so, with a heavy heart, Cinderella saw her stepmother and stepsisters dress up and leave for the royal ball the next day. Once they had left, she cried bitterly. Suddenly, her room lit up, and Cinderella saw the most beautiful fairy she could imagine. she held in her hand a delicate wand.
Who are you?
Get up, child. I am your fairy godmother. I am here to get you to the royal ball.
Really? I never knew I had a fairy godmother. But how will I get to the ball? I don't have anything to wear.
You don't worry about that, my child. And so, in just a few minutes, Cinderella was ready for the royal ball. As she thanked her fairy godmother and got aboard the chariot, she received a word of caution from the fairy godmother. Remember to be back home at 12, otherwise the spell will wear off. Soon Cinderella arrived at the palace. As she entered the great ballroom, everyone turned to look who this beautiful maiden was. Nobody could recognize her. Not even her own stepmother and stepsisters. Prince Charming walked to her.
May I have this dance with you?
Yes, Your Highness. And so Cinderella and Prince Charming danced together throughout the evening. Till Cinderella heard the clock strike. Fairy godmother's words came back to her. She needed to get out of there before the clock struck 12. Without saying a word, she tore away from the prince's grasp and ran out of the palace. The prince ran after her. Wait! What is wrong? Why are you running? I don't even know your name. But Cinderella dared not wait or even look back. Her beautiful gown was already turning into rags again. Her hair was coming loose from the perfect bun that the fairy godmother had made for her. She didn't even stop when one of the glass slippers came off her foot and fell in the palace driveway. She ran out of the palace gates and vanished into the darkness on a path that led to her home. Once home, she went back to polishing the shoes that had been given to her and decided never to speak to anyone about the ball. A few days later, 2 men from the palace showed up at their door.
The lady that Prince Charming fell in love with left behind her glass slipper at the royal ball. The prince believes that such a beautiful slipper could fit only his beloved. And so we're asking all the girls in the village to try the slipper. The one whom it fits would be the one the prince will marry. If you have any girls in the house, please ask them to try the slipper. Oh, yes, yes. I am sure it was one of my daughters. The slipper would fit one of them.
And so both the stepsisters tried to fit their foot into the slipper one by one. They pushed and pushed, but couldn't get their foot in.
Looks like it wasn't your daughter's after all. Is there any other young lady in the house?
No, there isn't. You can leave. As the king's men made ready to leave, suddenly the door of the house was thrown open. And Prince Charming himself stood there.
Who is this beautiful girl in the upstairs window? Madam, you have lied to us. I demand that the girl be called forth and try the slipper.
Yes, but she is only a servant girl. Nevertheless,
Cinderella! Cinderella! Come down here at once!
Yes, stepmother. The moment Prince Charming saw Cinderella, he knew he had found his beloved. He took the slipper from the king's man and slipped it onto her foot himself. The slipper fit perfectly in a moment. Cinderella was once again transformed into the beautiful maiden from the night of the ball. Prince Charming took her to the palace with him.
He ordered that the stepmother and stepsisters be punished for lying to the king's men and treating Cinderella so badly and rudely.
But being the kind-hearted person that she was, Cinderella asked for them to be forgiven. The prince fell in love with her even more for her generosity, and they lived happily ever after.
Wow, Tia, how wonderful is it to forgive people? Thank you for telling me this story.
I will tell it to John too. I'm sure he will like it. Okay, shall we go home now? I think it's getting late.
The boys in my class are very mean to me. They are so tall and big that I always have to listen to whatever they say. I am afraid to disagree with them.
Size has nothing to do with courage, Tofu. You don't have to be afraid just because you're short. Have you heard the story of Peter Pan? Peter Pan. Once upon a time, in London, the darlings went out to a dinner party, leaving their 3 children, Wendy, John, and Michael, at home. After Wendy had tucked her younger brothers, John and Michael, to bed, she went to read a book. She heard a boy sobbing outside her window. He was flying. there was a little fairy fluttering around him. Wendy opened the window to talk to him.
Hello, who are you? Why are you crying?
My name is Peter Pan. My shadow wouldn't stick to me.
Don't worry. Come inside.
Peter agreed. Wendy took his shadow and sewed it to his shoe tips. Now his shadow followed him wherever Peter Pan went. He was delighted. Thank you so much. Why don't you come with me to my home? The Neverland. I live there with my fairy Tinkerbell.
Oh, what a wonderful idea! Let me wake up John and Michael too. Could you teach us how to fly?
Yes, of course. Get them. We will all fly together. And so it was. 5 little figures flew out of the window of the Darlings and headed towards Neverland. As they flew over the island, Peter Pan told the children more about his homeland. That island is Neverland. All the children who get lost come and stay with Tinkerbell and me. The Indians also live in Neverland. The mermaids live in the lagoon around the island. And a very mean pirate called Captain Hook keeps troubling everyone.
Captain Hook?
Yes, a crocodile bit off his one arm. So the captain had to put a hook in its place. Since then, he's afraid of crocodiles. And rightly so. If the crocodile ever found Captain Hook, it will eat up the rest of what it couldn't eat the last time. Soon they landed on the island. And to the surprise of Wendy, John, and Michael, Peter Pan led them in through a small opening in a tree. Inside the tree was a large room with children inside it. Some were huddled by the fire in a corner, and some were playing amongst themselves. Their faces lit up when they saw Peter Pan, Tinkerbell, and their guests. Hello, everyone. This is Wendy, John, and Michael. They will be staying with us from now on.
Hello, Wendy, John, and Michael.
A few days passed, and they settled into a routine. Wendy would take care of all the children in the day and would go out with Peter Pan and her brothers in the evening to learn more about the island. She would cook for them and stitch new clothes for them. She even made a lovely new dress for Tinkerbell. One evening, as they were out exploring the island, Peter Pan warned everyone and said, "Hide! Hide! Pirates! And they've kidnapped the Indian princess, Tiger Lily. They've kept her there, tied up by the rocks near the water." Peter was afraid, and the princess would drown if she fell into the water. So, in a voice that sounded like Captain Hook, he shouted instructions to the pirates who guarded her.
You fools! Let her go at once! Do it before I come there, or else I will throw each one of you into the water.
The pirates got scared and immediately released the princess. She quickly dived into the water and swam to safety of her home. Soon everyone found out how Peter Pan had rescued the princess. When Captain Hook found out how Peter Pan had tricked his men, he was furious and swore to have his revenge. That night, Wendy told Peter Pan that she and her brothers wanted to go back home since they missed their parents. She said if the lost children could also return to her world, they could find nice homes for them. Peter Pan didn't want to leave Neverland. But for the sake of the lost children, he agreed, although a bit sadly. He would miss his friends dearly. The next morning, all the lost children left with Wendy, John, and Michael. But on the way, Captain Hook and his men kidnapped all of them. He tied them and kept them on one of his ships. As soon as Peter found out about it, he rushed to the ship. He swung himself from a tree's branch and onto the deck of the ship, where all the children were tied up. He swung his sword bravely and threw over the pirates who tried to stop him. Quickly, he released everyone from the captor's ties. Wendy, John, Michael, and Tinkerbell helped all the children into the water, where their friends from the Indian camp were ready with smaller boats to take them to safety. Peter Pan now went looking for Captain Hook.
Let us finish this forever, Hook. Yes, Peter Pan, you have caused me enough trouble. It is time that we finish this.
With his sword drawn, he raced towards Peter Pan. Quick on his feet, Peter Pan stepped aside and pushed Hook into the sea, where the crocodile was waiting to eat the rest of Hook. Everyone rejoiced as Captain Hook was out of their lives forever. Everybody headed back to London. Mr. and Mrs. Darling were so happy to see their children, and they agreed to adopt the lost children. They even asked Peter Pan to come and live with them. But Peter Pan said he never wanted to grow up, so he and Tinkerbell will go back to Neverland. Do visit us sometime, Peter Pan.
I will, Wendy. Promise.
And he flew out of the window with Tinkerbell by his side.
Thank you, Tia. I feel much better. The next time the boys are mean to me, I will find a nice way out.
Very good, Tofu. Now come, I can see Mom's car right there.
Look at that man, Tia. He looks so scary. I wouldn't want to be around him.
That is not a nice thing to say, Tofu. Just because he scares you doesn't mean he's not kind and caring. Let me tell you a story of the Beauty and the Beast. The Beauty and the Beast. Belle lived in a village with her father Morris, who was an inventor. One morning, as she was returning from the market, a hunter named Gaston stopped her. Gaston was an arrogant young man. Everybody in the village knew he always got what he wanted. But no one ever dared stand up against him because his father was the village head. The only person who paid no attention to Gaston was Belle. But Gaston was obsessed with her and wanted to marry her.
Belle, let me walk you home.
Oh, Gaston, no, thank you. I can go home myself.
I insist. I have to talk to your father about something important too.
Belle continued walking, ignoring Gaston, who started walking with her. Once home, Belle quickly went inside.
Morris, come out. I have to talk to you. What is it? It is your lucky day. I am going to marry Belle. You have lost your mind. Go away, Gaston. Belle is never going to marry you.
Just then, there was a loud explosion in Morris's lab. And he took off towards it. Belle also ran towards her father's lab. Seeing that there was no one he could push around, Gaston left.
Papa, are you alright?
I have done it, Belle. My experiment was successful. I am leaving for the fair in the nearby village immediately. You will see, my child. People are going to love this.
And so Morris leapt on his horse Philip and rode off. But as he was crossing the forest, he got lost. After a few hours, Philip and he landed in front of a huge, lonely castle. There was no one in sight, so Morris tied Philip to a pole at the entrance and went inside the castle. It was pitch dark inside. A few candles were lit in the corners.
Hello? Is anyone here?
I am lost. Can you help me?
A large shadow came across the wall. As it came into light, Morris saw that it was not a man, but a huge, angry beast with an ugly scar across his face.
How dare you enter my castle? You need help? I will help you. I'm sorry. I will leave immediately.
And Morris started running back the way he had come. But the beast got him and started dragging him. He took him down the staircase and locked him in the dungeon.
Please let me go. Please let me go. You will stay here forever. This dungeon is your world now.
A whole day had passed and Morris hadn't returned. Belle got worried and decided to go to the nearby village to look for her father. But she too got lost in the forest and landed up at the same castle. Philip was still there, tied to the pole. Belle decided to go inside, just in case her father was there.
Hello? Papa? Anybody here?
How dare you enter my castle? Get out right away before I lock you in the dungeon too.
Suddenly, the beast moved out of the shadows and stood in front of Belle. She was terrified of him, but dared not run. Somewhere from far away, she could hear another voice. It was her father.
Please let me go. Let me go, please. Open this door. Let me go, please.
Do you have my father? Can you please let him go?
Hey, what are you saying?
I will stay instead of him. Please let him go.
Hearing this, the beast took Belle's hand and dragged her up the stairs. He led her into a huge room.
So be it. Your father is free, and you shall be my prisoner forever.
And so it was. No matter how much Morris protested, the beast threw Morris out of the castle and into the forest with Philip. When dinner time came, Belle did not join the beast for dinner. Instead, she stayed in her room crying. The beast entered her room and said,
If you are going to stay in this castle, you have to follow its rules. You are expected at dinner. Don't you dare miss it next time.
You are a monster. You didn't even let me see my father one last time. Go away. I hate you.
Seeing Belle heartbroken, the beast felt bad. He pulled out a hand mirror from his coat and gave it to her. In the mirror, she would be able to see whomever she wanted to see at that moment. Belle looked into the mirror and saw her father finally leaving from the castle and riding into the forest. But to her horror, she saw he and Philip had suddenly been attacked by a pack of wolves. She gave out a loud cry and ran downstairs out of the castle gates and towards her father. Soon, she found herself and her father Morris surrounded by ferocious wolves. Just as the wolves were about to attack Belle, a large paw grabbed one of them by the neck and threw it away. The wolves now turned on the beast, who had decided to follow Belle and help her save her father. The beast scared them off, but not before they had bit into his arm and injured Morris too. He put Morris on Philip, who took off riding as soon as his master was secure. The beast tried to walk towards the castle but fainted and fell. He woke up 2 days later to find Belle sitting by his bedside in his room. The wounds on the arm had been bandaged.
You didn't go?
You are awake. I hope you're feeling better. Thank you for saving our lives. Over the next few days, Belle nursed the beast back to health. As they spent time together, Belle realized that he wasn't as mean as he appeared to be the first day they had met. In turn, the beast learned to change his ways and became gentler and kinder. Soon they became very good friends. One day, Belle asked the beast if she could see her father in the mirror. The beast agreed and gave her the mirror. In the mirror, Belle saw all the villagers storming her house. They thought that Morris had gone mad and wanted to send him to the doctor. Nobody believed him when he kept insisting that Belle had been kept as a prisoner by a beast. Worried about her father, Belle requested if she could go to the village for a day just to save her father. And though the beast knew that she might never return, he agreed.
Go, but take this mirror with you. In case you ever want to see me.
Once Belle reached her house, she stood between her father and the villagers and tried to explain the truth. But the angry mob, led by Gaston, who wanted revenge from Morris and Belle for turning his wedding proposal down, wouldn't listen. Gaston grabbed Belle's hand and tried to get her out of the way. As she struggled to free herself, the beast's mirror fell out of her pocket. In it was the beast, looking right at them all.
Goodness! She's shown the beast the way to the village. We must go and kill him before he comes here.
The angry mob started marching towards the castle, with fire torches and swords. They left behind Maurice and Belle locked up in their house. Soon they stormed the castle gates. Gaston went upstairs and challenged the beast to a fight. But the beast had had a change of heart. He did not wish to fight. So he came out of the balcony unarmed and tried to talk to the villagers. But Gaston wouldn't have it. He wanted to kill the beast, and so he attacked him. His sword pierced through the beast's stomach. Shocked, the beast swung his arm to protect himself. Scared, Gaston stepped backwards and fell off the balcony and died. Somehow, Belle had escaped from her house. And reached the balcony just as the beast fell on the floor.
I love you, Belle.
I love you too. Please don't go. Suddenly, the castle lit up with thousands of candles. As Belle still lay crying by the beast, he turned into a handsome young prince.
Belle, it's me. You freed me from the witch's spell. To break the spell, I had to love and win the love of another. You loved me even though I was a beast. You saved me, Belle. You saved me. It really is you?
As they hugged each other, they saw the rest of the castle and the forest bloom with beautiful trees and flowers. So you see, Tofu, you should never judge people by the way they look.
I'm sorry, Tia. I will always remember this now.
Tia, see, I got an A grade in English. I am so happy. Oh, that's really good, Tofu. But hey, this was just your first step. Your finals are still to come. Better study for them too. Ha 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 ha. Tia, I already scored an A in it. Do you think I need to study more for the finals? Don't you think I can give my finals even without studying for them? Tofu, it's not good to be so proud of who you are and your achievements. One should always remain humble, or else one has to suffer. Suffer? How? Come, I'll tell you a story. The Oak Tree and the Reeds. An oak tree stood tall and strong near the bank of a river and close to some reeds. It was a huge tree with a huge trunk and hundreds of big, strong branches. The oak tree was so proud that he used to boast openly about his strength.
I am so strong and mighty. Nothing can uproot me. Nothing can destroy me. Ha 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 ha.
Listening to what the oak tree was saying, the reeds couldn't resist but say, "Oh, mighty oak tree, don't be so proud of your strength. Nothing in this world is immortal. Being modest is the key."
Ha 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 ha. You little feeble reeds. What do you know about strength and being the strongest tree in the jungle?
Making fun of those reeds, the oak tree stood there with pride when suddenly the wind started to blow. The reeds bowed their heads as the wind started getting stronger. Watching this, the oak tree said,
You are so petite and weak. The slightest of winds make you bow your heads. How would you survive the strongest of storms? Ha 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 ha!
Soon the winds turned into a hurricane, and the oak tree, standing straight with pride, continued to laugh at the reeds. Oak tree, you might be big and strong, but you need not worry about us. We will bow our heads in this powerful hurricane and survive it. If you will continue standing straight, you will not be able to survive in these strong winds and break in no time.
No, nothing can uproot me. I am the strongest and will continue to stand tall and never bow down, no matter what.
The winds got more furious, and soon the hurricane took its peak. The little reeds kept their heads low and started swinging in the rhythm of the wind, thus preventing themselves from getting uprooted. But the oak tree, which stood straight and tried fighting the hurricane winds, soon broke down and fell in the river.
Ah, no! This is not possible.
See, we told you. You just learned a lesson. Better to yield when it is foolish to resist than to resist stubbornly and be destroyed. And the oak tree went drifting in the water, crying over his own false pride. Tia, I think I know what you want to explain to me. I will not get fooled by my own pride, and I will continue to study hard. Good, Tofu. Now let's get back to our studies. For your favorite rhymes, stories, and more, join Kids Hut family. Subscribe here.